Melissa from the Westmont Public Library, and today I'm here to show you how to do tie-dye with some household materials that you may have. We have two techniques that we're going to do today. One is a food coloring technique and the other is a acrylic paint technique. Between those techniques, I'm going to also teach you a couple design patterns to use for your tie-dye. So let's get started. The first technique that we're going to do today is the food coloring technique. So all you will need is some food coloring, some rubber bands. You also need a plastic bag, and I highly recommend wearing gloves. I dyed my hands for 2 days the first time I did this because I didn't use gloves. So gloves are really important. A couple other things that you may need is some water to dilute your food coloring, but I'll get to that in a second, and then as well as some vinegar. If you have vinegar at home, it is highly recommended that we soak the shirt in vinegar first to help with the saturation of food coloring colors. So once you have your shirt, you'll need a bowl and a measuring cup, and I also have a bowl of water here too. So what you want to do is you're going to want to soak your shirt in a 1-to-1 ratio of water and vinegar. That just means that how much vinegar you put in, you're also going to want to put the same amount of water. So I'm going to start with 1 cup of vinegar and 1 cup of water. So if you don't have vinegar at home, that's totally okay. You can also just soak your shirt in just water. I would get it wet because I think that's definitely going to help the food coloring disperse onto your shirt. And then you can also just do it dry, but I would wait a little bit longer for your coloring to soak on your shirt if you're going to do it that way. Okay, so I have 1 cup of vinegar, 1 cup of water, and I have my shirt, and we're just going to get it wet. It doesn't have to soak for a long period of time. We just want to make sure that all of the water and vinegar gets into the shirt. So I'm just going to wring it out. Great. So there we have our wet shirt. Alright, so I'm going to move the bowl to the side. And now we're going to lay our shirt out. Alright, so now that we have our shirt soaked, I'm going to teach you how to do a spiral pattern. So it is the most common pattern when it comes to tie-dye. My example here didn't turn out as detailed as I hoped it would, but you can kind of see the spiral in there a bit. So that's what we're going to try to do today on this shirt. I think it's also good to say that with this shirt I definitely didn't let it sit for as long as I wanted to, or as well as it should have, because I got kind of impatient. So this is probably why the spiral also isn't as detailed as we hoped, but nonetheless. What you're going to need to do the spiral is you're going to want to take a fork and you're going to want to stick it at any part of the shirt where you want the spiral to start. So normally it does start in the middle, but you can have it start on the side, on the bottom, wherever. So you're just going to literally take your fork, stick it where you want your spiral to start, and you're just going to want to basically twist the fabric with your fork. It's a little bit harder because it's wet, but that's all you got to do is you just twist and twist and twist. Okay, and so then you're going to have a spiral like this. Okay. So once we have our spiral done, we're going to take our rubber bands and we are going to rubber band this together. So you're just going to want to get underneath the shirt and keep it closed like that. And you can put as many rubber bands as you want on here. Every rubber band, it's going to help us divide it into different sections, and each of those sections are what we're going to use to put different colors on the shirt. So that didn't work out so well. So I'm just going to do a few here just so I have a bunch of room to put a lot of colors in here. Alright, so when you're done, it should look something like this. So I'm gonna leave that to the side for right now. So when it comes to the food coloring, there are two different types of food coloring. We have water-based food coloring and we have gel-based food coloring. If you're going to do water-based food coloring, you can just put this directly on the t-shirt. That is what I did with my example. But something that needs to be said is that I used an entire box of food coloring just on that one shirt. So it doesn't get you very far. And it is also a little bit harder to drip on your shirt just because it takes a lot more drops to get all over. So if you want to, you can dilute it in some water, and you can take a pipette of sorts or a condiment bottle or a spray bottle, any type of squeeze bottle to help you get all the coloring that you need on your shirt. So if you want your food coloring to go farther, dilute it in just a little bit of water. Now, if you have gel food coloring, you will need to dilute it in water because this will not disperse properly on your shirt. So all you want to do is take a cup and take your food coloring, and you're going to want to squeeze it in the bottom of the cup. As you can see, it is gel, so it wouldn't do well trying to be put on a shirt. Okay, so once I have all of that in there like that, I am just going to put some water in there as well, like that, and then I'm going to stir it up. If you're going to put this in some type of bottle, like a spray bottle or a squeeze bottle, you can just shake it. You don't need to stir, but because all I have is the pipettes here to use, I'm going to stir it up. And then, there we go. Now I have red food coloring. Alright. So now that I have all of that, I am just going to use the regular food coloring to put directly on my shirt. And we're going to take our shirt, and like I said before, each of the little sections is where we are going to put different colors depending on what we want the spiral to look like. So I'm going to first start off with blue, and I am just going to do different colors. Okay, so now that I have finished coloring my tie-dye, as you can see, I'm going to take it now and put it in a plastic bag. And then it's going to stay in there for as long as we possibly can stand it. So for the food coloring tie-dye, you're going to want to try to keep it between 4 and 24 hours. I highly recommend you leaving it overnight. That is going to give you the most saturated color, so it all just depends on what type of color you want out of it. Okay, so we have one shirt down that we now just are having soaked. I have one more shirt here that I'm going to show you how to use food coloring to do tie-dye with one other pattern. So for this shirt, we're going to do the sunburst pattern, and that is probably one of the easiest patterns to do. It's where you have a circle in the middle full of one color, and then the rest of the circles kind of go out. So this one is really easy. All you have to do is pick a place where you want your first circle to start. So that'll be the most noticeable and probably have like the most color because it's going to be right there. Most of them start in the center, but again, just like the swirl, you can have it start on an arm, you can have it start in the bottom corner, wherever you want. I'm going to do this one in the middle. So all we do is we just pick up the shirt and we pick it up just like so. And then depending on how big the circle is you want is how much you want to leave out before you use your rubber bands to rubber band it. So I'm going to do a generous size, and we're just going to wrap it up like so. And then I'm going to do the same thing all the way down. So each rubber band that you put on is going to be a different color section. So however big or small you want that color to be, you just do that. And I have already soaked this shirt in the vinegar just really quickly, so we're all good to go. You can see here we have all of it now sectioned off. It did get a little bit of color from the placement from before, but that's okay. So now I'm going to do the same thing with my food coloring, and I'm just going to do each section as a different color. So now we're going to do the same thing with this one that we did with the other one. As you can see, it's very wet, but I have all of the colors fading one into another by rubber bands, and I'm just going to take my plastic bag and stick the tie-dye in there. Alright, and then we are going to do the same thing with that one. We are going to let it soak for as long as possible. So I'm going to let them soak overnight, and then we will see what they look like when we rinse them out. Alright everyone, so now that we have finished doing tie-dye with food coloring, I'm now going to teach you how to do tie-dye but with acrylic paints. So all you're going to need is some acrylic paint, some water, more rubber bands, and some type of spray or squeeze bottle for this one. So this is my example of what it's going to look like for the acrylic paints. This one I did a crumpled design, so I'm going to show you how to do that today. And all you're going to need is a shirt. The great thing about the acrylic paint one too is that normally with tie-dye, especially with normal tie-dye and food coloring one, sometimes you want to use 100% cotton shirt, so that way it really soaks. But with the acrylic paint, it kind of doesn't matter what type of shirt you use. So it's really universal. Alright, so also with this one, we do not need to soak our shirt in vinegar. You can get it wet if you would like. I don't think that there's really a need to for this one. So you're going to take your bottle and you are going to fill it up with paint. Now I just filled it up into the bottom, so the bottom was full. So just like that. So, just a little bit in there. And then I'm going to put some water in there as well, and this is going to help liquefy it. Alright, and then we are going to screw the top on, and I'm going to stay like that so I can shake, and then you're just going to shake it up. And that is all you need to do. So I have already pre-made some more colors here. Alrighty. Now when it comes to the shirt, like I said, this pattern, it is really just crumpling it up however you want. So with my example here, what I did is I took just like little bits and pieces of the shirt and I rubber band them together. just to give me more definition of where I wanted my paint to go. So I'll do another one like right here. You also don't have to do the little dots around your shirt if you don't want to. You can literally just crumple it up in a ball. It'll look just as good. This is a cool design if you like a lot of white on your shirt, because the paint isn't going to soak as much as the food coloring did. So you will have a chance to get more white on there if that's something that you enjoy. Alrighty, and then I'm literally just gonna do that with the rest of it. And that's all you do. And then I'm going to use some more rubber bands to rubber band all of this together like I did with the other ones as well. Okay, and so now I have this one, and as you can see, there is no rhyme or reason to what I did. I just kind of crumpled it all up, and I'm just going to make sure that I have it laid out flat enough so that way the paint is going to kind of get all over. And then this one is just really easy, so you're just going to take your squeeze bottle or spray bottle and you are just going to spray right on the top of your shirt, just like that. So I'm just going to spray all of it. You're going to want to do the front and the back, and then with this one especially, like I said, it's not going to soak in as well. So if you do want less white, you're going to want to make sure that you get into all of the nooks and crannies that are in the shirt. Okay. Another thing to note too is that sometimes the bottles do get clogged, so you can always open them up and you can just pour them on the shirt, or you can take a pipette or some type of other, anything that you have to kind of disperse color everywhere on it as well. Also with the acrylic paint, it's not going to stain as much as the food coloring, so if you don't have gloves or don't want to use gloves, that's certainly okay, because it will wash off. Basically the gist of it. I have it wet here with a bunch of paint, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna let it sit here for a bit. With the paint, it's really great because you only need about 2 to 4 hours to let it fully dry, and you don't have to put it in a plastic bag unless you want to move it somewhere else and clean up your space. So you can just let it sit for a couple hours, and then I will take the rubber bands off and show you guys how it looks. Okay everyone, so now I'm going to teach you how to do the last design, which is going to be stripes. I'm going to use acrylic paint for this one again. So if you want to make horizontal stripes, you want to fold your shirt vertically, and if you want to do vertical stripes, you're going to want to fold your shirt horizontally. So first I'll show you how to do vertical stripes. What you want to do is you want to take your shirt and you're going to want to fold it. So you're going to want to fold it once up this way, and then you're going to want to flip it over and fold it again that way, and you're going to want to do this up and down the entire shirt. So flip, fold, flip, fold, flip, fold, flip, fold, and flip, fold. And then once you have a straight line, you are going to do the same thing that you did with the sunburst pattern, and you are going to want to rubber band all the way down, and each rubber band will divide all of your colors. Now if you want to do horizontal stripes, which is what I want to do today, you're going to want to do the same thing but vertically. So we're going to fold, and then we're going to flip it over, and fold again, flip it over, fold, flip it, fold, all the way through. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to rubber band it all this way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to also put it out to dry with the other ones. Again, it's about 2 to 4 hours until the paint completely dries. And then once everything is dry and set, I'll show you what the designs look like. Hi everyone, so it's been about 8 hours since I started the tie-dye originally, and now I'm going to get ready to rinse out the food coloring one. Before I do that, I wanted to show you the acrylic paint ones. After about 4 hours of letting them sit, I undid their rubber bands. They were still a little bit wet, so I hung them up to dry for a bit. Now before I wash these, I'm going to put them in the dryer and just do one cycle in the dryer so that way that the paint can really stick before I end up washing them. After you dry them, you can wash them in any way you want. Just make sure that you do a load of them all by themselves so that way if any colors bleed or anything like that, you're not ruining any other clothing. So now when it comes to the food coloring portion, we want to make sure that this is the time we definitely wear gloves because this is where it's going to get everywhere. We also want to make sure that we have ice cold water because if we do warm water, then they're all just going to, all the clouds are going to bleed together and it's not going to look very good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unwrap and rubber band the first one, which is our spiral one. Alright, so this is our original tie-dye swirl pattern. You can clearly see the swirl in the middle, which is exactly what we're going for, and now literally I'm just going to run this under cold water until the water runs clear to make sure that I'm getting off all of the excess food coloring that was on it. This is our end result. Like I said before, colors do technically fade a bunch, so the longer you let it sit, the longer it'll be saturated. So this was about 8 hours. Now I'm going to go ahead and lay it to dry, and then that's it. When it's done drying, I would recommend you can put it at one time through the wash, but again, just like the acrylic paints, we want to make sure that we are doing it on a single load so that way it doesn't bleed with any other colors. Now we are going to go ahead and do our second tie-dye, which was our sunburst pattern. This one I am just going to rinse it off just like this because I think it'll be a lot easier for me with all of the dye. This is our sunburst pattern 1. As you can see, the sunburst in the middle, and then it just kind of fades out. So that was the last tie-dye. This one is the same thing. I'm just going to now hang it up to dry, and then I will wash it just like any of the other ones. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to get any inspiration on any other techniques that you can do, as well as any other design patterns, please follow us on Pinterest at Westmont Public Library Teens. Thank you so much for watching.